Perfect.
Welcome back to O.I.M Healthy, where I share my personal experiences in living a healthy lifestyle with a disability. And I have an awesome guest with me today who is also living a healthy lifestyle with a disability. Welcome to the channel, Tony.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? I am so happy to finally be doing this. It's been years in the making that this has been in the works. So, yes, here we are. Thank you so much for having me today.
I am so glad that, yeah, like you said, that we finally got this together. We are both so busy and we geographically traded places. I just left Michigan. You recently moved to Michigan,
Yeah, yeah,
which is
it's crazy.
interesting to me because one of the main reasons I left is because of how the cold weather and icy conditions affect my bones
Yeah.
and my pain level. So, how's it been for you?
Well, I'm just about 2 years in. It'll be 2 years next month in October. I've experienced, just the 2 winters, and in fact, last winter we went back to California for a few months, so I did get out of the cold. But I've been lucky. The cold doesn't affect me as harshly. I think that's just due to maybe the fact that I have mild OI, and then also I'm taking care of myself, just staying healthy, and I keep moving. So that helps to keep the blood flowing and keep me warm. So I'm okay so far. I don't want to, jinx myself, but I'll tell you what, it does. I mean, I do get cold. My hips feel it. My legs definitely feel it, but I love it. It's an adventure. So, coming from California, now you're in California, coming from Los Angeles, it has been a whole different game trying to deal with the seasons, but we love it. I love seeing the seasons change and being in the snow. It's been, I'm 52 now, so I've never experienced the snow. So it's awesome to experience it now.
I don't have enough memories to last me the rest of my life, but I'm glad that you are enjoying it.
Thank you.
So you said you keep moving and keep active, which is a great segue. So your primary focus with the work that you do is physical fitness, physical training, and how does OI fit into that? Tell us about what you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's all based on OI, basically, coming from it, because that's because I have OI. And when I learned about exercise, proper exercise for OI, that really started the journey of, really getting healthier myself and understanding the disability and understanding how to work with the disability, right, to get healthier. Because, we're both big proponents for you can be disabled and healthy, right? Because a lot of people believe, oh, if you got a disability, you're done. You can't be healthy. You're just whatever is happening. And so we both understand that that's not true. So the journey has been that. It's like going through my own transformation, which happened later in life when I was 42, about 10 years ago. And then since then, it's been the mission to like help others do the same. So that's why I went through getting my certified personal training, becoming certified as a personal trainer, and starting an actual like training and coaching business so that I could coach one-on-one. I started my online fitness club, so I got that going so I can help more people. And, but it's all been based on the disability, meaning like adaptive, how do I adapt and how do I modify and how do I work with other people with disabilities, people that have OI and people that have other types of disabilities as well. So really, adapting exercise is adapting the exercise for the person, not the person trying to adapt for the exercise. So, once I figured that out, and once I was able to really, start helping people, it's just been a great journey these last, gosh, it's been 6 years since I've been a certified personal trainer. So it's been amazing just seeing the transformation in people. And then also for myself, just staying healthy, just still doing it, because a lot of people, may get healthy and then they fall off and don't come back to it, but I've been lucky enough to keep it going. So it's a great journey.
Do you find that your clientele is a mixture of people with disabilities and without disabilities? Or do you focus specifically on working with people with disabilities?
Yeah, it's mostly been people with disabilities. I will say this though, because I have worked with some people with limitations. So there's a fine line, right? There's a fine
Right.
line. I've worked with some seniors, the more seasoned individuals, let's call them that. They just have limitations. And then there's been some people maybe around my age or, early 50s, even in their 40s, that it's just a limitation. It's not necessarily a disability. So there's been a good mix where it's people that, straight up they're diagnosed with something, and then people that just maybe have mobility issues. So it's like, okay, let's work on getting your legs stronger, getting your hips more flexible, et cetera, et cetera. So there's been a good smattering of different types of individuals.
That's interesting. So how do you see diet fitting into this? Are you a calorie counter? What is your method of deciphering what you should eat and what you should not eat?
Well, for me personally, when I started the journey, I was a calorie counter. And so, everyone's different. So, depending on your personality and depending on where you're at in the process and kind of how you do things, as a coach, that's what I do with people. I kind of see where you're at and see what method is best for you to get on the train, because we all got to get on that train of good food, a good diet, right? So, there's a bunch of different methods, but I was a firm believer in counting calories. I straight did it. I tracked my food. I did that whole thing because for me and what I understand is that it's a mental game. It's a psychology around food. So there's that whole part of it that needs to be worked out even before you step foot in a gym, even before you start exercising. You got to get that food figured out, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to exercise and make progress the way that you want. So for me, it was very much, let me figure out this food thing, because I had a lot of hangups. I had a lot of psychological things that I was dealing with when it came to food. So I had to work through all that. And then your mind starts to shift. You start to look at food differently. You start to have a new relationship with food. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm just eating better now. And then it doesn't become a question. And then you don't have to really think about it. You just do it and you just start living it. It's that new lifestyle. So when it comes to the food, everyone is different. There's not one, there's no fad diet that works. It's really changing the mentality around food so that you could just eat well every single day. And because that's the long term. If you want it to be a long term effect, then that's what you have to do. So that's how I feel about, when we're talking about food and, wrapping our heads around what all that means. Everyone's different. We might find a method of counting calories that is important at the beginning, but it's only going to be for a matter of time. It's just to really change those habits and change those thoughts.
I like how you mentioned that everybody is different because I don't like to give black and white yes or no answers when people ask me, should I eat this? Is this bad for you? That it might be bad for you. That doesn't mean I can't eat it because everybody's body responds different to different stimuli.
Yeah, that's right. And, it's all in moderation anyway. I mean, no matter what we're eating, when it comes to, you're right. First of all, every body is going to respond differently to the different types of food. So even something that's healthy for me, could be not healthy for somebody else. It depends on what it is. There's some, leafy greens that contain a lot of what is it, oxa something or other, that can lead to like kidney stones, right? It's
Right.
like, okay, if you're more prone to a kidney stone, you got to stay away from maybe spinach and some dark leafy greens. So that's a thing, right? And the same on the other side. So you can eat something that's unhealthy, and maybe it doesn't affect you the same way. So everybody is different. It's all in moderation. I still eat junky food, but I don't eat it like it's a thing. Like, it's very minimal. It's in moderation. because I believe that you should have joy in life when it comes to your food. We can't get into the, well, I just eat to fuel my body situation either. You want to enjoy your food. So, if that means, having a little junk food here and there once in a while, then do it. But everything is in moderation, and just making sure you're paying attention to how your body is responding to all that.
That's key. That's key. Pay attention to how your body is responding to what you're doing to it. And which goes beyond food. I feel like a lot of us with our life kind of are almost in a risk management mode a lot of times. Do you feel like that?
Like when it comes to exercise.
Exercise, eating, like there are some foods that I can eat, but I know if I eat this, I better make some modifications to the rest of my diet for the rest of the day because it's going to make me feel like this, but it's delicious and I want it. It will make me happy, you know?
And that stuff is fine. I mean, you gotta enjoy it. You just have to, have control and confidence over yourself. Like you have to have the confidence to be able to control yourself. Let's put it that way, because you have to know. Before my transformation, I would eat all sorts of fried foods and spicy foods and acidic foods. Lo and behold, I had heartburn like every single day. And so, what was my remedy? I would take an antacid, right? So then I would take the antacid, and then I'd be like, okay, I feel better, so I can still eat those foods. So that was the recipe for disaster because I had to change what I was eating. I couldn't just rely on that, that remedy of taking that pill every time. So it really is a mental shift of saying, look, if I'm going to eat this fried food, this junky food, I know it's going to make me feel a certain way, but what am I going to do about that? I'm going to eat less. I'm going to do it earlier in the day. I'm going to, there's so many different choices that we have. So it's like remembering that we have to take control and we have to know that that choice is available for us every single time we go to eat something.
So, how does this translate to your strategy when it comes to taking a calculated physical risk? Like, there are things I like to do and things I know are kind of dangerous for me to do. So there's like a whole process of criteria that Jane Green goes through in deciding whether it's a worthy risk or not. Do you have a similar process?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're all different. We're all different. And we're all going to have different levels of those questions and those, what do we call them? Criteria, right? The criteria, the list, the criteria list to see if it's worth a risk or not. And also because of the severity difference. That's a
Like,
big deal, right? So the severity difference, because the types or whatever, but it's really the severity difference that we're talking about. And we all have it, no matter what. No matter what you see me doing, I could be doing jumps and burpees and doing like some crazy that you consider crazy, right? Someone else may consider crazy. You may see me doing it, but I've already gone through all of those steps. I've gone through that process of thinking, okay, what can I do? How do I do it different? Can I do it slower? Can I try it and see how it feels? That's my big thing is I'm like, let me try it and try a version of it and see how it feels. And then I'll adapt and modify as needed. So I'm more willing to try stuff, but especially when it comes to exercise, because I know I'm in more control of each move. When it comes to like outdoor things, when it comes to like, things on the outside, just regular activities, I think I'm a little bit more cautious when it comes to that because maybe I can't control every aspect of it. So my brain will go through the calculations definitely during those times. When it comes to exercise, though, since I've been doing it and I understand it a little bit more, it's a little faster. It's a little faster to get there.
interesting. Yeah, I'm intrigued by how everybody's individual troubleshooting process works, given our different environments, different severities of OI. So when you hear other people with OI, describing themselves as having a disease, that OI is a disease. How does that make you feel?
I don't like that term. I don't like to say brittle bones disease, you know, like it's a disorder to me. So my big thing, first of all, is the semantics don't matter. Like a lot of people get hung up on semantics, and I'm like, we don't have time for that. So that's number one. But number two, I feel that the words are powerful. So how you're claiming it is how it's going to show up for you. So, you know, I have a disorder. I have a brittle bone disorder. I have a bone disorder. So that feels to me more empowering. When I hear people say disease, when I hear them say an OI patient, that one rubs me the wrong way. You know, a lot of people will say that, OI patient. And I'm like, well, I mean, a patient, that's a pretty strong claim. We don't want to claim that. So I just say O.I.er, you know, someone with OI, like that's fine. I'm very much into the power of the words. Like, let's label it something powerful. You know, not to take away if someone feels power in patient and in disease, but to be honest, when we look across some of the examples, the people that do speak in those terms aren't necessarily as powerful as they could be. And they may be challenged and struggle a little bit more. So I definitely feel the words are important that we use.
I agree. I'm very much on the same page. Like, I don't want to judge, and if that's how someone chooses to describe themselves, I don't feel like I get a vote in that because that's their personal belief. But I know that my face cringes. You know, I can mostly control my mouth, mostly. 95% of the time.
Right,
But
right.
my face, I have no control over. And I know every time I hear someone say, oh, I have a bone disease called OI, I cringe because I don't want to be labeled that way. But
Yeah.
what does not seem empowering to me must be empowering to those that use that term. And like the winning theme here is everybody is affected differently.
Yeah. And I think the disease part of it, it comes because it is a medical condition. So that's just kind of like the big branding of it, where it starts in the medical books. And like, you know, if you're diagnosed with it, the doctors are going to tell you that's what it's called because that's the official name. So I think that's kind of where it stems from. Just that's what we're told from the beginning. And again, it just takes that power and confidence to say, well, I'm going to just call it something else.
Yeah. And you have started a support group that is welcoming to everybody with every type of OI. And I was so happy I was able to attend one recently. And it was a very cool experience seeing how everybody was kind of like observing each other and where we're at. Like, would you consider OI a spectrum disorder?
You know, I don't know if OI necessarily within itself I would consider a spectrum disorder. Simply, I understand what you're saying as far as the different types and severities and how kind of wide it can be sometimes. Um, when I think about spectrum, I would think more spectrum would be on we would be on a spectrum of other bone disorders as a collective. That's when I think about like spectrum disorder, like, you know, because there's people that have other bone disorders that are have characteristics like ours, but it's not OI. So I would consider us on a spectrum with them. And there's a bunch. I still have to learn about those guys, which I would love to. Um, but I would consider that more of a spectrum. I feel with us, it's really the severity spectrum that is most important, not the types, although type is important just so it kind of gives someone an understanding to start a good base point. But then, yeah, the severity levels, I can see what you're saying as far as the spectrum when it comes to that. Because yeah, in the group we get everybody across the board coming into the group.
That's great. How long have you been doing that?
Well, OI Life in general, it's called hashtag OI Life. And in general, it started, a few years back with the YouTube channel. And I was creating a lot of videos that had to do with OI and, trying to create a library of resources for folks with OI to find stuff on YouTube and just kind of get into a new, different type of conversation around OI. So there was a lot of fitness talk and there was a lot of these kind of topics, controversial topics maybe, but it's just like to start the conversations. So it started with the YouTube channel. And then when I started really focusing on helping O.I.ers with fitness, which was through Facebook. So the Facebook group is called Fitness, Nutrition, and Wellness for OI. So through that group, I was like, you know what? We have to do a support group, like a live event where we can all get together and talk about fitness. Let's do it. So the OI Life group started, and the first one was a fitness focused group. And so it was amazing. We had like 10 or 12 people in there, and it's all people that were like, I'm excited to talk about OI and fitness, right? So we had people across the board, all severities, doing all sorts of fitness, all different abilities. And so we had that first meeting. And after the success of that first meeting, I just started to, it just came to me, started hitting me in the gut of like, you know what, we should do this more and talk about other stuff. So then that was probably a year and a half ago. And then about a year ago, in October of 2022, I decided to then start doing the OI Life group every single month. I'm like, let's do it and see if we can make this thing pop off. So I came back and I did. The first one was, the first few were just kind of exploratory, where it was like, hey, let's see if people want this. Let's see if we're going to get together. And people started showing up. So we talked about topics. What do we want to talk about? What are some other ideas? So we kind of did it as a community, kind of thinking. And it really was to fill the gap because there are no virtual support groups really. The OIF is starting theirs back, which is good. Some of the organizations in Europe do it, but they're in Europe. So I was like, we need something here. We need something in the States, something that we can get together like more frequently because we need to be able to share with each other like one-to-one. So that was a big thing for me too. So I started doing it every month. It happens on the third Wednesday of every month, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so it happens every month. And we've been doing it since last October. And we've covered all different types of topics. So it's really growing. It's really gaining some traction. And I see that it's an important resource for the community because we need a place where we can get together, where we can just share with each other and not necessarily have doctors talking at us, which is, it's good. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but what I'm saying is I'm bringing a resource that's in addition to what we need as an OI community. So the OI Life group is where it's at.
And yeah, it's a great group. I think it's cool that we have a place where we can swap notes, so to speak, without the medical community watching us, and kind of pump each other up and share strategies and how to talk to our doctors, how to establish and maintain boundaries with our doctors.
Yep.
Which is so important.
Yeah, self-advocacy is a huge proponent of what I try and help people with too. And I think it's really important to, like you're saying, swap notes with each other because, we're the experts when it comes to it. And so if we can share with each other what we're dealing with on the daily basis, how we're dealing with the medical industry, how we're dealing with insurance industry, with the different things that we're involved in, we can get those strategies from each other. And so it really is like actual support. It's not just people coming in and venting, which does happen. We all need to vent at some point, right?
Sure.
But guess what? Someone's going to vent. And then guess what? Now there's like 4 or 5 other people in there that are going to give you some advice to help you through that challenge. And like that's been a huge part of the OI Life groups, just seeing the community come together and how quickly people, like you saw even in the meeting where you were at, it's like how quickly someone's like, oh, I've been through that. And this is what I was able to do. And then someone else chimes in, oh yeah, and you know what else you could do? You could try this and this and this. Oh, I've got a great resource. Like here, let me send you the link. So that's been the biggest and most powerful thing with the OI Life group is that one-on-one connection where we can literally share with each other what we're going through on a daily basis. And, we do talk about topics specifically, and that's even stronger because then we can really get into the nitty-gritty of things, right? But I think the consistency of it, doing it each month, is powerful as well. And just having this space where anybody can come and feel comfortable, and we have fun. Now, here's the thing, y'all, because a lot of this stuff isn't fun, right? I mean, let's just face it, when you're talking about some other events, but when you come to an OI Life group, it's fun, right? I start with music, we loosen up, like, we have some fun. There's no like censorship. We really get into it and we allow everybody to be themselves. And it's just really powerful and supportive.
Yeah, it's not like pass the tissues, everybody's sad,
Right, right.
we're usually pumped up about something.
Yeah. And look, we have a space, and you can feel safe enough to come in there if you're sad. If you're
Yes.
sad and you need some support, like, come to OI Life group, because we're there to help you with that too. Because we all go through it, we all have our challenges, and this is a safe space for you to come and express yourself.
So where could we find maybe like a condensed written copy of pure Tony Jacobsen wisdom in an easily attainable format?
I don't know, but maybe this could do it. It all started with this. This is my book, Disable Your Disability, Live the Healthy Life You Deserve. And I wrote this back in 2017, released it in 2017 or 18. And it is the place to start. If you want to, you'll learn about my journey, about how I really was able to embrace OI and look at it differently so that I could look at how to be healthier. And then the second half of the book is literally a how-to. I tell you how to get moving properly. I tell you how to look at eating differently. I'll tell you how to change all this stuff up here so that you can do all of it properly and effectively. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So Disable Your Disability is the book. A lot has even changed. I'm getting ready to dive back in and do an expanded version, because even that, it's been 5-6 years since this book happened, and a lot has happened since then. But that's the place to start. You can get a copy on my website. It's available everywhere, but the best place is to come to my website, TonyJacobsen.com, and you'll get access to like everything there. The book, Unbreakable Body, which is my fitness club online, coaching with me. I mean, everything is at the website, TonyJacobsen.com.
And every Tony's links will be down below in the description of this video.
Down
So
there.
you can grab yourself a copy of his book, hop into a support group. Now, who is the support group open to?
The OI Life group is open currently to anyone with OI, and also people that are connected to OI. So, we really want to be an inclusive space as far as that's concerned too. So, parents may feel like they want to come in, caregivers, but honestly, like I tell them, it depends. It depends on what you're really trying to, gather from the group, because, it is really a bunch of O.I.ers just kind of going at it and talking about stuff. So if it feels like something that could be positive for somebody that's outside of the group, then they're more than welcome. But it really is like a peer-to-peer, one-on-one, one-to-many sort of thing of fellow O.I.ers really getting into the nitty-gritty of living with OI. So it's open, but at the same time, you got to be kind of clear on what you're coming to the group for, And I've thought about that. We're going to do that in the future, where it is kind of set for, do some that are set for parents or somebody outside, the next circle out. And then maybe as O.I.ers, we can say, hey, we're going to answer questions that they have, right? So those are going to be coming up next year, because I'd like to provide more of a resource, to some of the parents, to some of the caregivers, some people that are, wanting to learn more about O.I.ers, like from O.I.ers.
And for those of you that are outside of the OI community, O.I.ers is just an abbreviated term we have for each other. For someone with OI is an O.I.er.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, that's what we call ourselves. We're O.I.ers. We're O.I.ers. It's an
I've
inside
said
thing.
that out of context before. I'm like, what? I get very confused uh, responses. I'm like, oh yeah, people
Yeah.
that lie.
Yeah. I think people understand because I do get questions sometimes from parents or siblings, other family members from O.I.ers. But I think that a good place to start for someone outside is maybe through your YouTube channel, through the OI Life YouTube channel, because then you can just start to garner some information that's not necessarily medical based, and it's just from an O.I.er's point of view of how we're living and thriving with OI. So those are good places to start. And my book. My book is always a good place to start if you want to learn about it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tony. I'm sure all of you watching have enjoyed today's video. And you can tell us how awesome we are in the comments below. If you have any questions, put those in the comments below about us or about OI. And it would be awesome. Thank you, Tony. Let's do it again down the road and catch up and see where we're at in a year or so.
Yeah, I think this could be a series. We got to talk about that.
Definitely.
I love what you're doing. I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I see what you're doing as far as really, the I am healthy. It's important for O.I.ers to understand that you can be disabled and healthy. It's personal peak performance. It's all based on that. But just so you understand that that is a possibility, that's what Jane and I are talking about. And you see the difference, right? You can see the difference between Jane and myself. We're not sweating any of that, okay? We're not worried about that. What we're worried about is what works individually for us to reach our personal peak performance so that we can be as healthy as possible, and you can do it too. So definitely, Jane, thank you so much for being another voice, because the more voices, the better.
I have a loud voice. I might as well use it for the greater good.
Absolutely.
All right, that's a wrap. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.